So last week I reviewed Sony A7R4. That was a quick review, and today's going to be, a very short review as well. Today I'm looking at the very good features. Why should you buy this camera in 2020 and 2021? Why is this camera so good? Or do I feel that there are some issues with the camera? So in today's review, I want you guys to join me on the other side as I will be discussing the good features of this camera, why you should consider getting this camera, and I will also talk about some little issues that this camera has got as well. There's no perfect camera out there, but I can tell you certainly that we're about to see one of the best camera of all time. Catch you the other side. Let's go. Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. If this is your first time watching my review, why don't you consider subscribing to this channel? But by doing that, you're supporting this channel and you will help us keep going. And today I'm reviewing the Sony A7R4, and the reason why I feel you should get this camera, and maybe one or two things you should consider maybe not to get the camera as well. So let's get down into the nitty-gritty. The first thing I want to talk about is the autofocus system on this camera. The autofocus system on this camera is amazing. It's so sweet. Like, you are so sure that you are gonna get your object in focus, and that's very important for portrait or whatever you're doing. It's very important, and also you have different mode in the autofocus system. Different mode, you have the wide range, the extended range, and these are all available for you. The continuous autofocus system, you're gonna nail the high of your object. It's gonna just get that bride in a wedding. You're so sure, because you can also register people's faces to allow you to, like for wedding, to focus on the bride and the groom, and every time they show up, is gonna nail the focus. It's gonna nail those focus, and the entire screen is almost covered with to make sure that you don't miss the object, and it works flawlessly. So I would say, wow, that's a great one. And I've had this camera for over a year right now, so I've used this camera in every condition, every wedding, portrait, indoor, outdoor event. Think about it. I've used it, so I know now I can do a complete review on it. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the resolution on this camera. The resolution is so good. Like, the 61 megapixel for this camera, and it's the largest when it comes to the mirrorless. It's the largest that I know of. In what that means is going to give you tons of details in your pictures. Even when you crop it 1:1, you're going to get fantastic detail. You're not losing much detail, and it's just amazing to have that option that you're going to crop. For people doing large print, for people doing medium print, whatever print you're doing, you're so sure that when you take this picture, that you have enough resolution, enough details that will help you to be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I think that is a very good option. The third thing I want to mention is the ISO. Now, you would think because it's got 64 megapixel, then it should automatically compromise. It should have to compromise with the ISO. Now, what do I mean ISO? ISO means that you see grain on the picture. If you see grain on the picture of people or on the video, that's introducing noise to their picture. If you shoot at the lower ISO, it means that you probably get a cleaner picture than shooting at the higher ISO. So, for instance, in most camera, 100 is the base ISO. For Sony, I think it's 50. So you can use 50, but in certain situation in a dark room, evening, or let's say night photography, you can't use 100, especially we don't have lights. You have to use you have to bump up your ISO. In this camera, I don't think there's any compromise in terms of the ISO. You can still bump it up to 1000, 2000, whatever it is, and you still get some nice clean image. So that's another fine feature that I kind of love about this camera. The fourth thing I want to mention is the in-body stabilization, and that's to avoid what we call camera shake. Camera shake, we introduce blurry image. So we take a lot of pictures, but you come out of those pictures, you get your computer, you check those pictures, they're blurry. Like, oh my God. All your work is like, my God, this picture was good when I saw it on the camera, but now it's looking blurry. So to reduce camera shake, you need a camera with the in-body stabilization. Even if your lens doesn't have, image stabilization, it's still good, because the camera inbody stabilization will at least compensate a little bit in that regard. But if you don't have inbody stabilization, you know, you are living on the edge. That's why people take tripod with them, but you cannot take tripod anywhere, everywhere. So, you know, having a camera with the inbody stabilization, I think, is a good feature. The last thing I want to talk about is this multi-purpose alt shoe mount, and it's also digital. So it means you can use it wirelessly with a mic. You don't need a wire. So Sony has also created a mic that you can use with it wirelessly, and it's a pain when you have to use wire all the time and things like that. But with this one, just plug a slot in there and to work flawlessly. You know, I think it's an amazing feature. It's an underrated feature, but it's so good to have to have such a feature in this camera. One of the bigger issue that people talk about in this camera is because of the high resolution, then you will need like more space. Your memory card, you will need a memory card that is more expensive in terms of, you will need maybe 128, to just give you a chance and be sure that you're not going to run into any problem. If you're shooting wedding, you might need 256 thereabout, because this is 61 megapixel. So every picture you're taking is taking large image. You're taking a large image. So you have to be aware of that. So that will cost you more money. That's what it means. Then you will need a good computer system with enough space, because 61 megapixel, these are large files, and then your computer will struggle if you don't have that enough space. Or there are ways around it, which should not be an issue, but it's just good to be aware of those things. But that does not depreciate the value of this camera in any way. Most of the camera released today, they still don't have some of the features that we have in this camera. And this camera was released over a year ago. It's amazing. It's a wonderful camera. And the price is retailing at $2,000, just over $2,000 on the E-Infinite online store. So they're not sponsoring this image, but if you go on the Sony website, it's going to cost you obviously around $3,500. But to get this camera for around $2,000 plus, it's an amazing price. I will say to you, did I make the right choice getting this camera? Oh yeah, this is the best in my own opinion. You can use it as video as well. Video photography, it works for both, except if you're a dedicated video person, probably you should look elsewhere. But if you do just video and photography, and it's fine, it's good enough, right? So I've enjoyed this camera. I've loved it. I'm happy anytime I pick this camera up. It's so reliable. Now that's my review today. I'll slide some pictures that I've taken with this camera through the end of this review, and then I'll catch you guys next week. Until then, I say bye bye.
Drunk, I've never seen you clearer than now. We're flying high, floating somewhere up in the clouds. Going out of ourselves, can you feel it? Almost like I don't know if it's real, cause when we're doing our thing, we're like wheels that won't stop turning. So take me on a trip.